Have you ever felt, even for a split second, that something in your life didn't quite match the person you know you were meant to become? That quiet, almost invisible tension between the reality you see and the reality your soul keeps whispering you were born to create? Most people ignore this feeling. They bury it. They call it imagination, coincidence, a passing moment. But you didn't come aquí por acaso. And deep inside, you know that. They told you your life is random. They told you your future is uncertain. They told you your mind is just a brain firing electricity inside a skull. But what if every single one of these truths was a beautifully constructed lie? What if the missing piece you've been searching for all your life isn't outside but buried inside your own consciousness? A consciousness that has been shaping your entire reality, moment after moment, without you even noticing. Your heart already knows. Your intuition already knows. And that's why you're still aquí, listening. Because something inside you has always whispered that there is a hidden truth, a truth so powerful, so transformative, so fundamentally disruptive, that once you see it, you can never unsee it again. You've felt it during synchronicities that made no logical sense. You've felt it when your mind imagined something, and life rearranged itself to match that vision. You've felt it in those rare moments when your vibration rose so high that the world around you seemed to respond, as if reality itself were alive, listening, reacting, bending. This isn't fantasy. This is consciousness. This is frequency. This is the quantum field responding to the vibration you carry. And if that sounds exhilarating or terrifying, it's because you're finally touching the edge of the truth they never wanted you to understand. A truth that breaks the illusion of randomness. A truth that exposes the architecture behind your life. A truth that reveals that you are not a passenger in this universe. You are a creator, a transmitter, a force interacting with a living field of infinite possibilities. The science of consciousness has been quietly evolving in the background, hidden in footnotes, buried in experiments, whispered by those who dared to go further than the textbooks allowed. Evidence that thoughts alter particles. Vibration shapes matter. Emotion communicates with the quantum field. The observer effect is not just a scientific anomaly. It's a keyhole into the mechanics of reality itself. Consciousness creates reality. Not metaphorically, not spiritually, literally, energetically, mechanically. And maybe, just maybe, that explains why your life has unfolded the way it has. Not because you're unlucky, not because you're limited, but porque su mente subconsciente, the part of you you've never been taught to understand, has been sending signals into the field, shaping your relationships, your finances, your opportunities, your path. And if that idea scares you, good, because fear means your old identity is starting to crack. Fear means your consciousness is waking up. Fear means you're about to remember who you really are. So take a breath, feel the space around you, feel your chest rising, feel your awareness expanding, because what you're about to hear is not just information. It is the beginning of a shift, a vibrational realignment, a return to the truth your soul has known since the moment you arrived on this planet, a truth hidden in the frequencies of your emotions, encoded inside the quantum field, waiting patiently for the exact moment you would be ready to hear it. And that moment is now. Because once you understand what the field really is, and how your consciousness has been interacting with it this entire time, everything you believe about yourself, your past, your power, your destiny, begins to unravel in ways you never imagined. And as these ideas settle into your awareness, as you begin to sense that familiar shift inside, the quiet recognition that something in you is expanding, it becomes important to acknowledge the role you play and how far this message can reach. Not out of pressure, not out of urgency, but because what we are building here only grows when it is shared by people who truly understand its value. So let me speak plainly and respectfully. If anything in this opening has resonated with you, if it has stirred something real, or helped you see your life through a clearer lens, I encourage you to take a moment to like this video. It may seem small, but it directly signals to the YouTube algorithm that this type of content matters, that conversations about consciousness, the quantum field, and inner transformation deserve a place in the world. And if you feel aligned with the direction of this journey, if you recognize that these insights are part of something you have been searching for, consider subscribing. Each video is a continuation, a deeper step into understanding how your mind, your vibration, and your inner world interact to shape the reality you experience. Subscribing simply ensures that you do not lose this thread of exploration. Finally, if something specific stood out to you, share it in the comments. Your words help form a community of people awakening at their own pace, and they often become a spark for someone else who needs to know they are not alone in this process. Thank you for being here with presence and openness. The fact that you are engaging with this content already says that your consciousness is shifting, that you are ready for something more. And in the next video, we will go deeper. We will explore what truly happens when you begin to understand the quantum field, and why your old reality often collapses before your new one can emerge. That moment of apparent chaos is not an ending. It is the beginning of profound transformation. Let this sink in for now, because what comes next will take you even further. And as this idea unfolds, you begin to realize that the moment a scientist challenges the boundaries of accepted truth, the entire structure of what we call reality starts to tremble. The story of this physicist did not end with a rejected paper. His discovery went far beyond equations and laboratory measurements. What he uncovered struck at the core of consciousness itself. While studying subtle fluctuations at the quantum level, he noticed that particles behaved differently depending on the emotional and mental state of the observer. It was not just the act of observation that altered the outcome, but the vibration carried by the observer, the frequency of their subconscious mind interacting with the quantum field in ways traditional science was not prepared to acknowledge. He conducted experiment after experiment, each revealing the same pattern. The universe seemed to respond to perception, not metaphorically, but literally. This insight suggested that consciousness and reality were intertwined, that what we call matter was just energy shaped by intention, attention, and inner alignment. But instead of celebrating this breakthrough, the institutions around him tightened their grip. His colleagues dismissed the results as anomalies. His superiors warned him not to pursue it further. Funding disappeared, doors closed, conversations shifted from curiosity to caution. Hidden science is not hidden by accident. It is hidden because it challenges the comfort of structures built on separation, limitation, and control. Still, he continued to investigate in silence, driven by something deeper than academic recognition. He could feel that he had touched a truth that resonated with the very nature of human existence. He began documenting how the subconscious mind seemed to project its internal beliefs onto the external world, creating patterns that people mistake for fate. He noticed how shifts in emotional frequency produced shifts in physical outcomes. He wrote about the invisible currents of the quantum field and how consciousness carries enough energy to reorder possibilities, drawing experiences toward itself through resonance. And the more he studied it, the clearer it became that the reality most people live is not the full reality available to them. It is a filtered version, shaped by past wounds, social conditioning, inherited beliefs, and unexamined perceptions. Everything pointed to one conclusion. Consciousness is not passive. Consciousness is the architect. The observer is not watching the universe unfold. The observer is participating in its creation. And if that is true, then the hidden potential inside each person is much greater than society would have them believe. This idea alone is powerful enough to ignite a complete awakening, because it reveals that the limitations you think you have are not inherent. They are learned. They are energetic imprints held in the subconscious, vibrating through the quantum field and generating outcomes that feel inevitable only because they repeat themselves. As you let these insights settle, notice how something in you begins to shift, a subtle recognition that your life may have been shaped by unconscious patterns rather than unchangeable reality. And if that is true, then you have the ability to reshape it. Before we move forward, I want to invite you to support this space consciously. If this exploration is expanding your perception, consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing your reflections in the comments. It strengthens our community, amplifies this knowledge, and helps it reach others who are searching for answers. This channel grows because of people like you, present, aware, and willing to expand. Let this awareness continue to open within you, because what comes next deepens the connection between consciousness and creation, revealing layers of this hidden truth that most people never discover, and we are only beginning to step into the part that truly changes everything. Behind every controlled narrative, every neatly structured scientific explanation, and every carefully filtered conclusion, there is something else operating beneath the surface, something that speaks to a deeper layer of reality, a layer that most people never learn to perceive. When you begin to look closely at the suppressed experiments, at the anomalies dismissed as noise, at the results that were quietly set aside because they did not fit the expected model, you start to notice a pattern. The moments when consciousness influenced matter were not rare accidents. They were consistent, replicable, and profoundly revealing. Yet they were buried beneath technical language and academic caution, hidden behind the idea that the mind is merely a passive observer instead of an active participant in the unfolding of the quantum field. What these experiments showed was unsettling for the traditional worldview. The mind is not shaped by reality. The mind shapes reality. Your thoughts are not echoes but signals. Your emotions are not reactions but frequencies. Your perception is not a reflection but a projection encoded in the subconscious mind and radiating outward into the field. Once you understand that your consciousness interacts with energy at a fundamental level, the boundaries between the internal and the external begin to dissolve. The world around you becomes less solid, less predetermined, and more like a fluid canvas responding to your vibrational alignment. Scientists who dared to mention this publicly were often dismissed, not because their findings lacked evidence, but because accepting them would require dismantling deeply rooted assumptions about the nature of existence. It would mean acknowledging that the reality people believe is objective is, in truth, a negotiated illusion, one shaped by collective agreement, reinforced by perception, and filtered through the subconscious identity each person carries. The reality occulta is not hidden by distance or complexity. It is hidden by habit, by the tendency to trust the visible over the vibrational, the familiar over the unknown. But when you begin to see through that veil, a shift happens inside you. You start noticing how your energy changes the way people respond to you, how your inner dialogue influences the opportunities that appear or disappear, how your frequency determines the quality of your relationships and experiences. And as you observe this more consciously, something remarkable occurs. You stop feeling like life is happening to you and start realizing that life is happening through you. This is the beginning of Desperate Spiritual, the moment when your awareness expands beyond your five senses and into the field of perception that has always been guiding you. Allow yourself to sit with this idea for a moment. Feel what it does to your understanding of who you are. Feel how it shifts the weight of your experiences. If something within you is resonating, if a part of you is recognizing a truth you have felt for years but could never articulate, I invite you to share that awareness in the comments. Not as a formality, but as a conscious act of connection. When you comment, when you engage, you strengthen this field we are creating together. You help others feel less alone in their awakening. You amplify a message that has the power to expand minds and shift lives. If this insight is opening something inside you, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. It supports the work, sustains the energy of this space, and ensures that these conversations continue reaching those who are ready for them. And as we move forward, the next layer of this truth will reveal itself, taking us even deeper into the mechanisms that shape your reality long before you become aware of them. Because what you are about to discover reaches far beyond, and when you truly let that sink in, something subtle begins to shift inside your awareness. You start to trace the invisible line between your inner state and the events that unfold around you, noticing how your perception alters the very structure of your experience. You recall moments when you were certain things would fall apart and, almost predictably, they did. Not because life was against you, but because your emotional frequency had already rehearsed that collapse inside your subconscious mind. The quantum field does not respond to your wishes. It responds to your vibration. It mirrors the energy you hold, not the words you speak. This is why thoughts create life only when they are aligned with the deeper emotional patterns living within you. As you reflect on your past, you begin to see how many of your outcomes were shaped long before the events themselves occurred. That unexpected opportunity that appeared just when you felt ready for change. That coincidence that placed the right person in your path at the perfect moment. That sudden clarity that shifted your entire direction. These were not random. They were manifestations of a deeper alignment between your inner state and the field of possibilities surrounding you. What felt like chance was, in truth, your own energy collapsing one outcome out of infinite potential realities. There is a moment in every person's life when their inner frequency reaches a threshold, and reality responds with surprising speed. You may have experienced it during a season of emotional clarity, when your subconscious identity aligned with a version of yourself that felt more authentic, more empowered. Suddenly, obstacles dissolved, new paths emerged, and life seemed to bend in your favor. This is quantum manifestation in its purest form, not forcing reality, but allowing it to reorganize as your consciousness expands. When your internal world shifts, your external world cannot remain the same. The field adjusts itself to match your vibration with precision that feels almost supernatural. This process is happening right now, whether you are aware of it or not. Every belief, every memory, every unresolved emotion is projecting through the subconscious and into the quantum field, constructing patterns you walk into as if they were independent events. And yet, once you recognize this mechanism, you gain something most people never achieve: agency. Not control in the rigid sense, but influence. The ability to shift your frequency deliberately, to choose the emotional states that sculpt the reality you step into next. As you listen, notice the sensations in your body. Notice the expansion in your chest, the slight tingling in your hands, the quiet recognition in your mind. These sensations are not random either. They are signals of conscientia quantica awakening, indicators that your perception is expanding beyond what you were taught to trust. This is the beginning of a more profound connection with the field, where intuition becomes a guiding force and energy becomes readable, almost like a language your subconscious always understood, but your conscious mind is only now remembering. If you feel something unlocking inside you, if this understanding is illuminating moments from your past in a new way, I want to invite you to ground this awareness, like this video, so that this knowledge can reach others who are searching for exactly this. Subscribe if you want to continue this journey into the deeper layers of perception and reality. And share your insight in the comments. Your voice is part of this field, part of this collective awakening, part of the energy that sustains and expands what we are building together. Stay with this awareness, because the next step reveals something even more transformative, a truth about your consciousness that reshapes everything you thought you knew about the boundaries of your reality, and we are about to step directly into that unfolding. And as this understanding settles more deeply into your awareness, you begin to sense that the shift happening inside you is not theoretical, not abstract, but something alive, something moving through your perception with the unmistakable clarity of truth. You start to realize that every moment of your life up until now has been influenced by patterns you didn't know you were carrying, shaped by beliefs that were never truly yours, and reinforced by a world that benefits when you stay disconnected from your own power. But now, standing here with this new level of perception, you can feel the boundaries of that old identity dissolving. You can feel the weight of learned limitations losing their hold. You can feel your conscientia quantica expanding into a space you never allowed yourself to step into before. There is a quiet liberation in this recognition, a sense of remembering something ancient, something that was always within you but hidden beneath layers of noise, fear, and expectation. This awakening is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is subtle, precise, unmistakable. It is the sensation of seeing beyond the surface of reality. The awareness that everything you thought was fixed is, in truth, fluid, responsive, and deeply intertwined with your inner world. This is the beginning of a quantum shift, the point where the vibrational frequency of your consciousness rises high enough for the field around you to reorganize in ways your old self would have called impossible. As this expansion unfolds, you may notice your perception sharpening. You may begin sensing energy differently, noticing how certain environments feel heavier or lighter, how some people amplify your frequency while others drain it, how your own emotions ripple outward like signals shaping the possibilities ahead of you. You may also begin to see your past with new eyes, understanding that the challenges you faced were not proof of weakness, but invitations to awaken. Every setback, every moment of confusion, every unanswered question was guiding you toward this exact point of awareness. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. Everything was part of the alignment that led you here. The reality occulta that once felt distant or mysterious now feels familiar, almost obvious. You can sense the intelligence of the campo quantico responding to your presence, responding to your thoughts, responding to the coherence of your energy. You can feel how your subconscious mind, once running silently in the background, is now becoming visible, revealing patterns you can reshape with intention rather than habit. This is the threshold where true transformation begins, not in the external world, but in the frequency you choose to hold within yourself. And yet, even with all this clarity, you know intuitively that we are only touching the surface of what is possible. There is a deeper layer we have not explored yet, a layer that explains why life often seems to collapse before it changes, why old identities fall apart just as new potentials begin to emerge, why the path of awakening sometimes feels like losing control when, in truth, you are finally reclaiming it. That understanding is coming. It is the natural continuation of everything unfolding within you now. Before we step into that next layer together, I invite you to strengthen this space of awareness and connection. If this part of the journey has expanded your perception, take a moment to comment something that reflects your awakening. You can write, Eu desperto, eu vejo além, or simply, Estou expandindo. Each comment sustains the energy of this community and helps this message reach others who are beginning their own despertar spiritual. Your engagement is part of the field we are building, part of the expansion we are choosing collectively. Stay with this feeling, because the next revelation will take us even deeper into the mechanics of collapse, transformation and rebirth within the quantum field, and everything you thought you understood about reality is about to open in ways you may not expect.